All right, my name is Dae Bogan. I'm the head of third-party partnerships at the MLC. In my role, I oversee our DQI partner program. Today, we're going to be showcasing Blokur and their DQI implementation. But before we introduce our Blokur speaker, Phil, I will go quickly over the MLC. Many of you may already be familiar with MLC and have already become a member. But for those who are not familiar with MLC or have not become a member, this information is sort of an overview of our organization. I'm going to go off screen while I present this part of the presentation. Okay, so the MLC's origin and mission. The MLC was created pursuant to the Music Modernization Act of 2018. The MLC offers a new blanket license for digital music providers to cover mechanical licensing of US-based interactive streaming and downloads. This little graphic over here on the right sort of illustrates our process. We receive usage data and royalties from digital music providers. We then match that information to the musical works information in our database, calculate the royalties, and then pay out royalties to self-administered songwriters, ex-US CMOs, and music publishers. So again, this is more of a flow of those royalties from US digital audio services to the MLC to you, the rights holder. The MLC is the exclusive administrator of the new blanket license, and the MLC is the only organization that can collect and distribute the royalties paid pursuant to this new blanket license to rights holders. I also want to just take a quick pause and say, if you have questions, please use the question feature and drop your questions in there. We'll get to them at the end of the presentation. You don't have to put the questions in the chat because we may not, other chat comments may push the question up. This diagram is sort of an overview of the US digital music revenue streams ecosystem. Starting on the left section, we have revenue streams for musical works, public performance rights. Generating public performance royalties are paid out through PROs such as ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, and GMR. Those royalties are paid out in publisher share to publishers and to writer share to songwriters. And publisher share also to self-administered songwriters who have their own publishing entity. For the reproduction and distribution rights of the copyright, you have mechanical royalties, which are paid out through the blanket mechanicals are paid out through the MLC in mechanical shares. And then voluntary licenses are paid out through paid to DSPs or third-party admins, as well as download mechanical royalties that flow through digital distributors and aggregators. And those mechanical royalties are also paid out to publishers and self-administered songwriters. On the sound recording side, you have the reproduction and distribution rights in sound recordings, which are your wholesale proceeds from streaming or downloads or sales. Those royalties are paid out through your distributors and aggregators down to record labels and self-administered or self-released artists. Sorry about that. And then you have your digital performance rights, which are royalties for the non-interactive streams, which are paid out through Sound Exchange. And those are paid to record labels, featured artists, and non-featured artists. And as a reminder, please post your questions in the Q&A feature. Okay, so what the MLC will and will not do. The MLC will establish and maintain a public database of musical works ownership information. We will administer a new blanket license covering mechanical rights available to eligible digital audio services operating in the US. We'll receive and match sound recording usage reporting data from digital audio services with the MLC's musical works ownership data. And we will collect and distribute US digital audio mechanical royalties to music publishers, administrators, foreign mechanical rights organizations, and self-administered songwriters, composers, and lyricists. We will not administer performance rights for musical works or collect performance royalties. We will not administer digital performance rights for sound recordings or collect digital performance royalties. We will not administer mechanical royalties or collect mechanical royalties for physical products. We will not administer any licenses or collect any royalties related to the use of musical works in audiovisual products or lyrics. And we will not administer licenses or collect royalties for the use of musical works outside the United States. The MLC will not replace PROs, and we will not replace Sound Exchange. So who needs to become a member of the MLC? Well, all music publishers, administrators, and CMOs who have the right to collect digital audio mechanical royalties from licensees in the United States should become a member. And then only those self-administered songwriters, composers, and lyricists who have retained the right to collect digital audio mechanical royalties from licensees in the US for at least one musical work. The MLC will pay anyone entitled to collect mechanicals for a given musical work. Unlike the system for public performance royalties, mechanical royalties are not separated into rights shares and publishers shares. So how do you become a member? If you go to the MLC's website, themlc.com, and click the blue Connect to Collect button, you'll be taken to a page to begin the process of becoming a member. DSPs pay 100% of the MLC's operating costs, so this allows the MLC to distribute 100% of the royalties that we receive without deducting any administration fees. Now, to the Data Quality Initiative. The Data Quality Initiative is an initiative that we launched last summer to help rights holders check their data in bulk against our data to identify and act on any potential discrepancies in that data. So far, we've had over 400 participants in the DQI, and we've matched, or I'm sorry, we've have compared over 17 million musical works. We have a number of webinars online regarding this, including this webinar currently being recorded will also be up online on our website. So with that, I would like to introduce our presenter today, Phil Berry, who's the CEO and founder of Blokur. Phil will be given a presentation, will be giving us a demo of Blokur's implementation of the DQI. So Phil, I'll let you take it over. I'm just gonna stop sharing my screen.
Thank you very much, Dae, and thank you all the MLC team for inviting me. And also, I think it's just overall, just to say from the start, this has been a really great initiative. I think that this kind of unprecedented transparency that we're seeing from the MLC, and I hope it's going to lead to a lot of benefits for the music industry. So I guess all of us are here are kind of music data enthusiasts anyway, but it can be a slightly dry topic. So I thought I was going to start with a little animation, if I may. So let's see if this goes. There you go. So hopefully that gives you the 1 minute intro. And as you can see, it's kind of a story of two halves. The first half being copyright and copyright data, and the second part being matching of usage of different types to that copyright. And I'll get onto that later on. But the first part and the most important part for today is copyright and copyright data and accuracy of copyright data. So Blokur's copyright platform, Copyright Hub, matches, combines, and enriches data from different sources, and then delivers it to income sources like CMOs and DSPs, resolving duplicates and conflicts on the way, matching and merging information like writer pseudonyms, alternative titles, and also enriching the work information with recording information like ISRCs. And all of that overall serves to maximize the chance that royalties can be matched to your songs, because we're removing ambiguity in the works information, the rights around the works, and also adding in that vital link to recordings. I'll explain in more detail in a minute how this, which is kind of the core part that overlaps with the MLC, how relates to the MLC. But if you're not familiar with Blokur already, then it's kind of a very simple platform that allows you to get an oversight of the accuracy of your rights information where you have conflicts, has information about how your songs are doing in charts, and allows you to resolve those conflicts. It's a very user-friendly user experience, allows you to navigate both through kind of visual aids like graphics, and then also get deep into the tables of data, and does everything to kind of give you access to all the information we're getting from all of these different data sources. When it comes to conflicts, we highlight those in any country in the world where we have overlapping claims that we see on the platform from different rights owners, and we make it possible to resolve them through a counterclaim chat where you can provide evidence that the song is yours, and you can resolve conflicts in that way. And when conflicts are resolved in Blokur, they're spun out to a variety of different places, including PROs around the world, to make sure that that the correct information is going to be distributed where it should go. Now, once the copyright data is in Blokur, we start to get a bit closer to the second half of the story. We also have, for example, the ability to analyze where those songs are being used on digital platforms in terms of chart. So we will look at different charts, sort of there's like 100 different charts, 2 different countries across different platforms like Spotify, Apple, YouTube, etc. Show you where specific songs are doing in those charts, which might be about the most high performing works, or they might be in particular genre niches, or they might be about what's trending right now on TikTok or Instagram. There's a wide variety of uses for that, including forecasting income, checking that you're getting paid what you should if you get no money from Japan, but you've got huge usage in the charts, you'd notice, and also calculating market share. And then for some particular use cases, we go a level deeper than that. So in the case of TikTok, we're able to get into the specific number of videos created and information that's more about the specific usage of these tracks, and then link that to the works, show you how your market share is evolving, show you what's happening on TikTok in relation to your music in detail. And then one stage deeper again, we have, for our clients, we help them also with unclaimed and unmatched income from different sources. So an example of that might be, the big UGC platforms where there's a whole lot of usage going on that can't always be matched at the source. And we work with our clients to match that kind of remaining bucket of money against their copyright information, so that they can then claim anything that might be left over. And we have really interesting results there, finding billions and billions and billions of views for our clients of usages that haven't been identified by other sources. I'll dig in then into the MLC and the data quality initiative specifically. So I think that if you're not familiar with data quality initiative overall, then its goal is to help you as a rights owner, as a publisher or songwriter, to check that your works are registered as you think they should be, or as you'd expect in the MLC database. And this has been done through the implementation of a kind of a standard way of working with an interaction with file delivery and these kinds of things with the MLC. And Blokur is, as an official partner, able to do that on behalf of publishers that work with us. Recently, we've actually started to go a little bit more. The more that we learn about this, the more that we've started to do our own kind of custom spin on it. And so we're now actually not just taking advantage of the data quality initiative, but we're actually going into the raw data in the MLC database that's now available, and we're applying our graph matching. And that means that, for example, we don't have to rely on identifiers when we are searching for a work in this database. And it means that we are looking at a lot more detail in terms of the work information that we can compare against, and we're able to leverage our technology at Blokur in graph matching, which is something quite unique to Blokur, which we think adds an extra benefit to it. And we have seen that actually the results bear this out. So in our work that we've been doing with publishers, we've identified that you can have as high as 40% of works having duplicates, and that these duplicates can't be identified by other mechanisms of matching. So when we compare a composition from a publisher against something in the MLC database. It's also true that about 37% of the kind of positive matches that come back to say, yes, this is the same song, actually could not be identified by looking at other ways of approaching this. So for example, if you were to look at trying to do it using ISWC, which is one of the options available through the DQI, you would only have found the match about 18% of the time with the work, with the registration in the MLC. And if you're looking by song codes and these kind of identifiers from Harry Fox or MLC, then you probably get a bit closer, you get about 60%, but that means that there's still 37% that we're only able to find because we're using this sophisticated graph matching technology. And the way that that works is to try and build context around every piece of data. So when you think of, for example, identifying a songwriter, we don't just think of a songwriter as just their name, we think of it as their name, all the different pseudonyms they're known by, all the IPI codes of different interested party codes that are connected to them, all of the songs they've written in the past, the recordings that exist of those songs, their collaborators. And we create this web of relationships in the data that allow us to get just a lot more context. And that means that we're able to go out and find more possibilities when we're trying to match and find your song in the MLC database. And we're then also able to have a much higher confidence level in what we do find because we're combining so many different elements together. And it's a bit like if you remember your math class from school and kind of multiplying probabilities, it's that same effect that allows us to go out and find more possibilities and still not find lots of noise and lots of false positives. So that's really effective. And then finally, the other thing I think that is interesting about this process is what do you do when you get the report back and you need to take an action on it? And so one of the things that we are doing at Blokur is to make sure that the information that comes back to us, we then present, we sort of interpret and give it to you, the publisher, in a way that is most useful. So for example, making it possible to focus on the instances where there are the biggest discrepancies in terms of shares, or allowing you to focus on the examples where you want to prioritize based on the popularity of a song. And so in that case, we would link the report that we get back, or from the report we generate from our own analysis, to Blokur's understanding of the popularity of different recordings and how they link to compositions, so that you can spend your time working on conflicts and missing shares when it's really valuable, as opposed to spending your time going through every result and trying to work out what really matters. So overall, we're excited to be part of this initiative. As I said right at the top, I really think that it is an important change and progression for the music industry to allow this kind of transparency, allow all of us to come together and try and create the best possible data and flow of royalties for these US mechanicals. And to underline then, again, the two elements that I think are unique to Blokur. So one is we're going deep into that full database, not relying only on identifiers, and using the graph to be able to more accurately identify all of those issues that might need your attention. And then secondly, we're focusing on making sure that the reports and information that comes back are really actionable, that they are ordered by priority, and so that you know that it's worth your time to give them your attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Phil. Appreciate that overview. All right, I'm going to continue back into my presentation, then we'll open things up for Q&A. Okay, so we just saw a quick presentation overview of Blokur's implementation of the DQI. So what should you do now? Well, if you're not a member, you should become a member of the MLC. You can do that by going to the MLC.com, clicking on Connect to Collect, and then you want to start the process of checking your data. So you need to set up a relationship with us for DQI, and then obviously if you're using Blokur to participate in the DQI, you can do that directly within your Blokur account. Also, want to make sure you confirm your payment information so that you're actually getting your direct deposits to the proper place. Our portal has been launched for several months now. It's built from scratch in over about 12 months. We wrote out our MVP, and we've been doing updates ever since. So there's still more features that are being developed in the portal. But the portal is where you can also go and register new works and check your statements and things like that. The MLC's royalty payment cadence, we just did our first distribution last month in April, and now we're on a monthly distribution cadence. The way it works is royalties earned in a period, in 1 month period, for example, January, is processed and paid out 75 days later. So that was in April. So our next payment in this month of May will be for February. The payment after that in June will be for March, and so forth. The MLC has support available 6 out of 7 days. We have 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday, and then 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. on the Saturday. Our support is accessible via phone, email, and chat. Okay, so I'm going to open it up for Q&A now. Let me. Okay. Well, I don't see any questions in the Q&A, so I'll give them a moment if anyone wants to ask a question to Phil in regards to Blokur's DQI implementation. All right, we have one. Phil, can you elaborate on where the ISRC popularity data comes from? For example, is it from the MLC via usage report by DSPs, or is it independent of the MLC via other data sources?
Yeah, so that's independent. That's independent. We're not part of the, the usage and royalties part of the MLC. This is something that is through Blokur's other data sources, but it's about a metric of the popularity of recordings on streaming services, and then linking those recordings to the underlying compositions. So you can see in Blokur's platform in general, the popularity of those compositions in streaming, and for the case of the MLC Data Quality Initiative, to allow you to focus on the most important problems.
Thank you for that. This question comes in from Herman. Is Blokur a partner with MLC and provides the info to them, or do publishers have to join separately? And what are the costs?
I think that question's about registrations, isn't it? So that's not the focus of.
Either way, whether you're using Blokur to participate in the DQI, or if you're registering new works with the MLC, you still need to become an MLC member. You do not become a member of the MLC through Blokur. Blokur is a resource that makes it possible for you to participate in our data quality initiative, but you will still need to become a MLC member as long as you're eligible. Okay, another question. Did you take part in the recent YouTube backpay scheme for publishing?
We did not, but we do work with publishers directly on helping them with matching unclaimed usage from platforms, including YouTube.
Okay. How does Blokur ingest data sets besides receiving them directly from publishers and label themselves?
Yeah, so we are really interested in getting as close to the source as possible, which means that we do put a premium on data we can get directly from the rights owner, whether that be a publisher, label, artist, songwriter. And then we will enrich that with data we can get from other sources, some of which are public, but just not well structured, and we kind of use that to enrich. Some of them are through partnerships with CMOs or other sources. So there's a range of ways that we do it, but overall we have a hierarchy of data authority where the most authority of the data, the more, if the closer that somebody is to the information they described, like if they're talking about themselves, the more weight we give it. So when we combine data direct from source and data from outside, we're able to sift through it and make sure that we're filling the gaps with the data from outside without weakening the strength of the data accuracy.
Thank you. What percentage of your claims will be false positives?
Good question. So when we do I described the sort of algorithmic part, but there is a review process after that. So when we do this type of matching, we will get 3 different categories. We'll get things where there's no match at all. We'll get things where there is a match that is 100% reliable, and we'll get other matches where we have to go through another step. And so all of those go through another step. They go through a process that is kind of manual aided, by which I mean that people will answer questions. For example, is Peter Jean Hernandez the same person as Bruno Mars? And that will contribute to the knowledge base. And then over time, if the question comes up again, then it will be automated. So all of that means that by the time we tell you that we found matches, we're confident and we've been through the review and we've already dealt with false positives.
Thank you. I guess this question may be for me. Is the MLC worldwide like DDEX or RDR? The MLC is a US-based organization administering a US digital audio mechanical blanket license and paying royalties for US interactive streaming usage. So we are US. Our members are worldwide. You can be a publisher in any territory that has the rights to collect mechanical royalties in the United States and become a member of the MLC. Okay, there's a couple questions in the chat. I'll address these, but if you have questions, please put those questions in the Q&A box. If you click on the Q&A icon in the lower part of the screen, you'll see that. So this question, let's see here. As far as the new procedure for registering with the MLC, what is the correlation between Blokur and the MLC? And how would you be eligible to become an MLC member? Well, the MLC and Blokur is a relationship as regards to the DQI, the Data Quality Initiative, not new work registrations. However, in participating in the DQI, you may learn that there needs to be a new work registration. So when you participate in DQI through Blokur, and if, for example, if it's found that a work is missing in our system as a result of participating in DQI, the resolution for that discrepancy would be a new work registration, at which point you would do that outside of the Blokur environment, unless you engage Blokur to assist with resolving discrepancies. Is that correct, Phil?
Yeah, that sounds good. And can I add that if you watch the video that I think is going to be posted, you'll see Dae's excellent description of how you can join and everything at the beginning. So you'll get that if you watch the video.
Yeah. Okay. I see another question in here. Will there be a replay? This video will be posted on our website. If you go to the MLC.com and go to the how it works, there's a sub tab that says Data Quality Initiative, where we talk about the DQI, and then we also will be listing the video for this webinar. Okay, so I think that's it. I don't see any more questions here. Thank you for your time, Phil. Thank you for your time, participants. This has been great and quick and efficient, so appreciate that.
Great, thanks for having me. It's been good.
Everyone enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you.